let Rhonda continue.
Yeah, we're very, very excited about some things that are coming in her honor, in her memory, but we'll keep those under wraps right now, but be prepared for that. One of the things will actually feature local artisans, so we've been gathering up some of those because, again, we think that would be right up her alley and what she would want us to do. But she was the editor for 46 years. Everybody knows that we had Blanche rules. You have, Kentucky Press Association or press rules, but it didn't matter if Blanche wanted them a different way. That's the way we put the semicolons where she wanted to and put the percent mark instead of spelling out percent. So we always had the Blanche rules, and they change daily because, we might want semicolons and commas one day, but the next day they had to go in a different spot. But we just kind of rolled with the flow. In the old days, I remember the paste up days to where they used one of the first computers, and it was about the size of this desk, and it printed out the strips, and you had to cut them out and run them through a waxer, and you had big pieces of paper that were the newspapers, and you stuck it on it, and you put it together. And we had our own dark room, developed our own pictures, and you would put them on there, and we called it lining. You would have to take little pieces of rolls of tape that had the little lines and go around all the pictures to make it look finished. From that point, it would be laid on a big camera and take a picture of and make the negative. A lot of people think we actually print there, but we actually print in different locations because the presses are big enough they would take most of our building. So at that time, they printed in Macon County. Since that time, we printed in Adair County for a while, Todd County for a while, and then actually we're printing now in Horse Cave with Joe Publishing. One of the reasons we've changed around is trying to hit the mail. It always drove her crazy that like Mount Hermon couldn't get their paper till the next day, and she fought very hard for changes with that. There are some rules in the newspaper and the postal service now that are directly result of Monroe County. And one of the things that she also fought for is some legislation that would help protect the smaller newspapers. They called and they were having a online Zoom meeting with Jamie Comer because he's actually on the committee that would oversee and take care of that, pushing that through. And she was one of 42 on the call, and she was the one that they concentrated on because Jamie wanted to hear what she had to say. So David Thompson, who's the president of KPA, actually did a video for the ceremony, and as it talks about that, how she was one of the powerhouses in newspapers, but always nobody knew that she was.
Right.
So we're very excited. We would like everybody to come. It will be that Sunday following the Watermelon Festival. So please come for her birthday party and help us honor her.
It starts at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, yeah. I'm hoping you can't find parking. I'm hoping it goes around the courthouse. But we're very, very excited and honored to be able to do that for her.
All right. Of course, she lived down there at the city park. Had a beautiful backdrop. I guess you say her backyard went down to the city lake, and
right.
She get to look at that every day.
Yeah, she Uncle Joe bought that for her in the late '80s, first the '90s, because after her accident, that was one of the things that they were always working on tomorrow, and they figured out they needed to live today. So they moved out there, the two of them, in that massive house, and that was her kingdom, was in that house. You would not believe all the stuff we have found in that house. Love letters from her college days.
From Joe?
No! She didn't meet Uncle Joe till years later, and they married. She was in her 40s when they married.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And She went to Japan for almost a year when she was in high school. So the Japanese memorabilia is amazing that we have found. Of course, the Watermelon Festival memorabilia, Arts Council memorabilia. Um, it's a lot of history. And we are working on documenting that history.
Does she have like all that together?
Oh no. No, we've been separating as we're going. It has been. We had actually started working with her on some ideas for out there, and we had started with her probably a year ago, going through some things because she was bored and it gave us something to do. And it was kind of neat because it was kind of bittersweet because we could take things to her and go, okay, tell me what the story is on this. For instance, there was a pocket watch that was in the living room hanging on a little stand, but we didn't have a clue what the pocket watch was. And so we took it out to her, and it was her grandfather's. So it would have been our great-grandfather's pocket watch. And had we not have talked with her about that oral history would have been gone. You know, that she was big on oral history, written history, genealogy. That was all of it right in her wheelhouse. So it was kind of neat for that time. There was a bracelet I found that I absolutely loved, and I took it to her, and I was like, okay, tell me what this is about. And she told me, and she says, that's really pretty. And I was like, well, why don't you wear it? So we put it on her, and she wore it the rest of the time.
Now,
so,
do y'all have a lot of audio and video of her that you have
know,
done
we
over the years?
don't, because she didn't do that sort of stuff. She was the one behind the camera. I know a few years ago they did honor her as the hometown hero from WBKO. A few years ago we had a roast for her out at the extension office because that was one of the 10 times that we were concerned about. And we kind of believe in giving them the roses while they're here and honoring them while they're here. And we worked really hard for that. And the community worked really hard. Susan and Charlotte put that together, and it was amazing.
All right. We're going to take a little quick break, and then we come back with Rhonda. We're going to change hats and talk about some other things. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Monroe Monday, August the 29th. I have with us Rhonda Elam and some others, and we're going to talk about the Humane Society.
Right. In 2019, most people around here know Gary and Julie Bowman. Gary's originally from here, and Julie's a big dog lover, and they found a puppy across from R&S Barbecue, and ended up both the front legs were broken. They took it back with them to Louisville where they live, and was able to get it to the Humane Society there. And Ruby is her name, and she was then received the vet attention and adopted out. And so that became one of the passions that Julie had. And they saw the issues we had here in Monroe County with stray and abandoned dogs. And they actually went and provided the seed money to begin the first organization. Terry had written a story on Red, the male dog, and they came in the next week and said, hey, let's go, and we want to do something about this. So one of the main things that we do with the Humane Society is provide low-cost spay and neuter programs because the cost of a spay or neuter can run anywhere from $100 on up. Because of a subsidized grant that we provide, anybody can buy a certificate for $50, and the remaining of the cost is provided by the Humane Society. Physical court, we entered into an agreement with them because they actually legally are the ones that pick up the animals in the county. And one of the problems that they had noticed was that when they would get the smaller dogs, they did not have and puppies, they did not have the facilities to handle those. So we stepped in to help with that. They stepped in to help with us because one of the big problems that we have is transport. And actually Faith also came in. She's just moved into the county and has been our main transporter. I don't know how many times she's gone to Georgetown, Lexington, Richmond, and we're getting ready to go to Greenwood, Indiana. And we liken it to sometimes we meet them in parking lots, and there's like this secret exchange between these transporters.
Looks almost like a drug deal.
It does. It does.
It's not a drug deal, it's a
It
dog
does.
deal.
We're passing
Dog deal,
puppies, and then that person will take them another leg to Georgetown. You know, we meet in Cave City a lot. Georgetown, and then Georgetown takes them to Decatur, Illinois, or Northern Ohio, and from there we've had our dogs end up in Montana, New York. We've got a blue heeler going to Massachusetts next week, Connecticut. They go all over the place, and you know, we all joke, why do all of these places up in the Northeast have room for, or do they not have dogs? But up there they have much more stringent laws about spay and neuter, so they do not have the issue that we see here.
So they don't have a dog issue.
Right, yeah. There's not all this rampant number of dogs running around. Since March the 23rd, when we did start working with the county, actually yesterday we accepted the 200th dog that we have in our possession. That does not count the ones that the county has. So the county gets all the adult dogs, but yet we help transport those dogs or get those dogs placed with rescue, because that's always an issue, is nobody wants the older dogs. So tomorrow our plan is to take 18 to Greenwood, Indiana. If anybody would like to help, we need one more transporter, because the bus that we have purchased to transport might be getting a new facelift to surprise everybody at the Watermelon Festival. So this transport came up very suddenly, so we didn't have plans for it. So we'll make it work somehow. We also have transports that will be happening with planes. We have some that if we can get them to a certain point, they go in planes and go to the Northeast. We actually are planning the one from here. We have a young lady who is getting her pilot's license or is just starting her main part of her piloting, and she will be flying up to 150 pounds of dogs out for us, hopefully on a weekly basis. But we're going to see whether we get them accepted. And of course, with the influx of the Eastern Kentucky animals from the flooding, it's been hard to get some of these rescues to accept dogs. Also from the puppy mill that they in Virginia that had 4,000 beagles, that has overloaded the system.
Yes, folks, that's right. She said 4,000.
4,000 beagles in it was a medical or a facility.
Yeah, testing facility.
Yeah, so that has been it's been hard the last couple months to get people to accept dogs, and sometimes she takes one puppy to Georgetown, but every one we get out of here we know goes through the vetting process and goes through a very stringent adoption process, and will be going to great homes. So that's our main thing right now, is helping the county move the larger dogs. We also have a puppy program to where if anybody has a litter of puppies out there that they're not able to give away or that sort of thing, once a month we accept those dogs in and transport those straight to a group that runs them into an adoption center in Louisville. So that's one of those things that we have to give them their shots, we have to worm them, we have to keep them a week, feed them. We actually have a vet tech on our staff who does the accepting of the dogs. And it's great because she knows enough to look and see them every day and notice when there's a change in demeanor and head it off before if one's starting to get sick. I can't say enough great things about Wesley Dyer and his crew out there. She's actually one of his. They have opened their arms because we don't have a facility. They have worked with us to make sure anytime we needed it, we have a place. We are actually working to also fix part of the old jail as a puppy holding facility. So dreams are one day to have our own facility, but we know that's on down the line, and we don't want to wait to help. We want to help right now.
And speaking of help, I know I had Lexi Taylor on the other day. Her and Lee Emerton are doing a 4-H community project for to get things for the Humane Society, towels,
bleach, dog food, puppy food especially, leashes,
Treats.
treats, toys. You know, we have people, a lot of us have those kennels sitting around or the old crates sitting around. We can use every one of those. Cleaning supplies, you know, anything like that, dog bowls, waters, we can use every bit of it. So they actually brought us an entire carload of supplies the other day. And at the Watermelon Festival, we might or might not have a little set of puppies, quote unquote, because they're going to be jumping off the bus and handing out candy during the parade.
The puppies will?
The
two-legged puppies.
The
not
two-legged
four-legged.
puppies. And we will have a booth at the Watermelon Festival where we will be selling the spay and neuter, accepting donations of financial donations as well as supply donations. We've got several door prizes and that sort of thing that have been donated to that to help raise money for our
Like
spay and
pet
neuter.
photo shoots, training certificates, so you can actually take your personal dog, or if you know, we have dogs that'll be available for adoption. I'm actually just not telling you this, but I'm going to have a book, a binder with all the dogs, pictures of all the dogs and descriptions of them at the festival. So if people want to come in and view the dogs that we have, because it may be a little too hot to bring the dogs, we're kind of having to play that
Right,
by ear. We'd like to bring them, but it's also their safety comes first.
All right, let's introduce you
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry.
Introduce who you are.
Hi, Faith Townley. I have my boys here with me today, Ben and Chris. Say hi, guys.
Hello, I'm Ben. And
I'm Chris.
But we actually came into the picture. We moved here in January of this year, and we started volunteering because a dog showed up at our door, literally on our doorstep. I guess it was like the last freeze in April, whatever it was. It was so cold. We woke up, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and you know, one of it was Ben that went outside.
I was just like, oh, there's a dog on the porch.
Yeah, and of course I had, you know, I was like, oh no, and I come flying out the door, and I'm like, get off and then I'm like, oh no, because she was just so starved. I mean, she just looked like she was on death's door, and of course I was very upset. And it turns out, you know, I was going to take her to the vet and get her taken care of. We were actually going out of town the next day, so I didn't know what to do with her, but she just, you know, she needed help, and turns out she had gotten off the leash from her foster family, which was literally right next door, as in our properties touched, not 10 miles down the road, but right next door, and she just gotten off, and anyway, so she was up for adoption, and so we adopted her, and then we started getting involved with the Humane Society, and it's been, you know, you have a lot of heartbreaking days, but then there's also days like I found out that one of the pups that came in the other day was just reunited with a family who had lost everything in a fire. So you have good days like that.
All right, let's take another quick break, and we'll be right back with more of the Humane Society. And welcome back to Monroe Monday. We're talking about the Humane Society here in Monroe County, and with Faith Townley, and also Ben and Chris. And they work, I guess you'd say, side by side with their mother to help with the dogs. So we're going to let them continue and talk about what they do as far as when they pick up a dog and training and all that stuff.
That's usually the guys with animal control. Once the animals are processed in the facility and they're actually at the Humane Society in the pens, we'll go and we'll pick one. One of the ones that we know are like the older dogs, or, you know, I consult with Rhonda and say, hey, listen, which one do we need to work with?
Can we
Which
go
one?
next?
Yeah. And then we'll grab the dog, and we just got permission to use an enclosed area at the Humane Society to train them. So so the boys and I will just kind of put them on the little leashes. Sometimes these dogs are just, you know, they are so terrified, and they've been abused, or they've been so starved, and they're just scared, because these dogs are no different than us. You know, they feel fear, they feel love, they feel hunger, they feel, you know, they have a lot of emotions just like us. So as long as you can recognize those emotions, and they're easier to work with. But we'll take them in, make sure they get little treats, and we work with basic commands, sit, stay, lay down, leash train them. We just kind of walk them around, and then we take them off the leash because, calm is very important. And for sit, those commands are important because, if you have an animal of your own and they get scared in public and they take off, that puts your animal in danger. And, we don't want somebody who's going to adopt these animals for them to run away. We want them to have lasting adoptions and forever homes. So if they're, housebroken, if they already know these things, then it makes it so much easier for that, adoption and transition process. And what are some of the favorite things that you guys like about working with the dogs, boys?
I enjoy being able to see the dogs go from being so scared and terrified of people to being able to just stay right by your side and listen and just they love back tenfold than what you give to them. They're just
the way they look at you.
And you can tell that they feel appreciated and loved, even if they're a little uneasy at first. Once they get used to you, they're good dogs.
Yeah. How about you, Chris?
Right, yeah. I enjoy, same thing. I enjoy seeing, dogs getting adopted out and seeing them go into loving homes. And
I think a lot of times an animal is more loving than a person is. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
if you got chicken,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Give
Yeah.
them chicken if you spoil them rotten. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they also do a lot of testing because some of these places require that are they good with chickens? Are they good with cats? Are they good with kids? So she sometimes takes them to her home and tests them out between if they're dog aggressive, if they're pen aggressive. So she has actually taken on most of the day-to-day work. We actually work at the old jail since we don't have our own facility. The county actually uses that for their pens. And we're excited that the county is going to build another 10 single-run pens. So we'll be able to have that to divide the dogs out for their safety and for ours to be able to pull one at a time. So the inside enclosed area has made a big difference for her because there's sometimes she's able to work through 4 or 5 dogs and get an evaluation, be able to kind of write about what their personalities are and tell what they've already mastered. And every dog just about that she's worked with individually has been adopted out or a rescue has tagged them for pickup.
Good deal.
Yeah. But the dogs are, they are, like you were saying, it's easier to work with them sometimes than humans. It really is. They're just so great. And I actually have, after I leave here, I'm going to be working with a private individual on her, with her dog who I already worked with him some, and I'm so proud of him. He's a lamb. His name is Lambo. But, so it's important, too, for if owners see that, they need some help with their animals, because sometimes we just don't know. And I'm not a professional. I'm not like Rhonda keeps going, oh, you're a professional. I'm like,
Maybe you need to open up a dog training facility.
Yeah.
She's kind of doing it privately now, but we can see it going that way.
But it's sometimes like with kids, sometimes when you're parenting, you just don't know what to do sometimes and you go and make a mess. But it's like with dogs. Sometimes we have to learn their little personalities. We have to figure out, like with the kids, what works for them, what doesn't work. And it's fun because you get to see their personalities,
And one very important piece that we are in great need of will be volunteers.
Yes.
For instance, tomorrow we need someone who will just drive to Greenwood because we've ended up with more than one carload needing to go, which is a great
good
thing.
Problem to have.
We need people that can foster. Sometimes, like we've got in a set of puppies that were 4 weeks old. They were already eating a little, so you didn't have to bottle them, but they also needed to be into a home environment. So a lot of those just volunteering, hey, what can I do to help is fantastic. And the boys actually have some other ideas.
Well, we had an idea to potentially get the school board involved and get some sort of class going for the local high school, or like an elective, to help get volunteers and help teach kids responsibility and empathy towards the dogs, and kind of help with that. And even just playing with the dogs would help just tremendously, because some of these dogs, they don't have a lot of positive interaction with humans, and giving them treats and just playing with them will help them associate better with people.
Yeah. I mean, all the animals really need is to be loved.
Yeah.
That's all they want. Well, and chicken.
And chicken's their favorite treat.
Real chicken.
But I think Faith wrapped it up very, very succinctly one time with about volunteers. Is she said one person can't do everything, but everybody could do one thing
Right.
and change everything around us. We work very closely with the county. They are the ones that do all the intake. We don't do any intake at all, because we need to go through the proper chains. I can't tell you how many puppies they found in ditches. We had one lady that was following a car that they threw a box out, but she didn't know, what was going on. And then when the box hit, she saw a puppy pop out. So she actually picked them up, and there were 6 puppies that were in the box that had been thrown out like trash. But we need everybody to keep an eye out. Call for help if you need to. If you do find puppies or see puppies or have a stray that comes to your house, all calls need to go through the dog number, which is 270-427-0999. That's 270-427-099. And that actually begins the animal control process that's run by the physical court. They will come pick the animals up. They will evaluate if they need to go into their pens or if they're going to need the extra attention. We had one 2 days ago that had a pretty good wound that automatically went to get vet care. So all of these animals are vaccinated. They are wormed. Then if they need vet care, we take care of that. And the smaller ones and the babies then come to us to be cared for until they can be moved out.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to let people know too that there is no shame in surrendering. I mean, because I don't want you guys to feel embarrassed or anything, because we all go through different situations, and it's okay to surrender an animal, to say, listen, I care enough about this animal to do what is best, that this animal needs to be cared for. If you're able to communicate with us, or if you're willing to communicate with us on, hey, these are the things that this animal needs, and just hand it over. It's okay. It really is okay. And it creates less problems, honestly, because if you just dump the animals, then they have to be caught. And then, it can get hurt even more, which runs up bills even more, or they could destroy property, livestock. They could run in packs, and that is a high possibility. They're still dogs, and they do have pack mentality, and it can become an issue, which is why we do what we do. Why the guys at the animal control do what they do. And I could never do what they do, because I just want to sweet talk and baby talk the animals, so I could never do that. And I really appreciate what they do. I really
they
do.
work so hard. People
they
have
do.
no
Yes,
idea what they go through and
Oh my goodness, yes.
how hard they work.
I respect them so much.
Absolutely.
So much.
They take some animals out of some rough situations. They take animals that we're a little leery about handling until they kind of calm down. And we're very, very appreciative for what they do.
Absolutely.
And very excited that we can help them further their cause of helping Monroe County animals.
I know a couple of years ago I had a pup come to our house, and cute little pup. Of course, I couldn't keep it, but anyway, it was very aggressive. It was behind the gas meter, And every time I would go toward it, I mean, it would just growl and just do bad. And I'm not getting it, you know. So I called. Well, actually Leroy is who I called, you
Right.
know. And I was gone at the time, but he came right in, and where he went right in there and got it, you
Yeah.
know. And of course, they adopted it out or whatever, you know.
Right.
But
We always say that if Leroy doesn't want to handle one, we understand that it's pretty rough. We also provide low cost adoptions. A lot of these rescues, the adoptions are anywhere from $150. I saw some up to $600. So what we do is for $50, you can adopt one of the animals. That also includes it being spayed and neutered, because we're just wanting to try to get them placed in great homes. We also have some adult dogs that are sponsored, so all you need to do is a approved application, and we'll work with one of the animals and place them with who they need to be. We had one that actually went to Moorhead the other day. Faith was able to meet them in Somerset, and has been a very successful story. And that's Gina Emberton, actually lives in Moorhead, and she's from here. And she's the one that saw it on our Facebook page and made contact. And we had pictures the other day of they called him Bobo, and Tater, which is the other little dog they have there, riding in the car together, playing together. So
now, Greenwood, Indiana, is that close to Indianapolis?
it's, yeah.
It's the excerpt
Yes,
of it.
yeah.
Outside.
It's actually, what we call Monroe County, Indiana, because a lot of people
yeah.
from Monroe
That's what I
County
was
settle up
thinking.
there.
Yeah.
But they're not actually going there. They're actually being picked up by another transport, which will be taking them to Decatur, Illinois, which is about, so they drove down 3 hours. We're going to drive up and meet them. We have Buckeye Border Collies. There's a massive amount of Border Collies and Blue Heelers and mixes that come into the program. Buckeye Border Collies takes about everything. We got hooked up with the National Pyrenees group, so they take any Pyrenees cross that we have, or Anatolian as well. So we're very, very blessed, and I can't even say enough great things